It's time for the news.
Another UFO sighting has taken place.
The leather's made out of cardboard.
The number you have dialed is in an alternate dimension.
Welcome back to Weird Week. I'm your host, Jack DeMont, back with Daniel Kim. How you doing, man?
Daniel Kim is here. That's all that matters.
That's true. That is all that matters. People need to
I know,
remember
I said
that.
Just
People need to remember that on this earth. At least you're here. That's what matters. So let's get right into it, DK. I like that you're here and you're ready to talk with me about some weird events that have gone on recently. Study finds prehistoric migration China to the Americas. Daniel, go ahead. Tell me about it.
Well, studies have shown there was two distinct migrations. The first during the Ice Age and second shortly after. The first was, they say it was the Native Americans in Siberia, and they found that the second migration happened where people settled in Japan. That's why they say a lot of times the arrowheads in Japan for the Americas and also China have like similar properties, and that's what they think that this might be a plausible theory that the migration also ran through China.
Right. Before the Ice Age, I wonder if they're implying that they sailed across the ocean or if it was Pangea. I don't remember if Pangea was before or after the Ice Age.
Oh, yeah, I don't think boats were. I think people during the Ice Age, I think boats were pretty much, were they invented at that time?
I'm sure they had. I'm sure boats were. I'm sure early forms of boats were invented long time ago. I think like some of the earliest humans probably figured out a way to ride the water. But
I thought they just swam from vines like Tarzan. That would have been pretty sick.
That would be pretty sick. When I watch Tarzan and you see him like tree surfing and then like swinging from vine to vine and then tree surfing, it kind of makes you like, oh yeah, I could do that. Let me go to the jungle and slide across some mossy tree branches with my bare feet. And then in reality, that would be awful. That would be awful. Your feet would be shredded. The moss would not be smooth enough to.
Well, I think that's you're talking modern feet. We have the luxury of shoes. I think back then they probably developed some serious calluses that protected it from stuff like that.
Right, and of course Tarzan's a myth and a legend, and the theory is that he would have been raised to like with his feet calloused up and ready for that kind of stuff.
He's a legend, not a myth.
You know who's a legend, not a myth? Phil Collins. Man, that was an amazing soundtrack. Two worlds, one family. Trust your heart. Let fate decide. Dude, I love that. I love that whole
soundtrack.
That whole soundtrack. I mean, Disney for that like few movie run, Lilo and Stitch and whatnot, they had like a few movies in the early to mid 2000s, even a couple of underrated ones like Atlantis and whatnot. But some of them had like really kick-ass soundtracks, like really kick-ass soundtracks.
Were you a fan of the Hunchback of Notre Dame? We are the outcasts.
I never really watched actually Hunchback. It was one of the only Disney ones I didn't like own on VHS or anything as a kid.
What's your favorite Disney song?
Disney song? You can't do that to me. That's like such a big question. It's like
I can answer it right now if you. It's actually a movie that's coming out right now. Soon.
Can you separate those? Can I say my favorite Pixar song is something different? Because then that.
Well, it has to be from Toy Story, then, hasn't it?
Of course. And that would be "You Got a Friend in Me" because that's an amazing classic. And then
you didn't like the song from Jessie when she loved me? That was a sad song.
You said favorite song, not song that makes you want to cry every time you hear it. That does not make me. That does not make a favorite song.
It could be a favorite song.
No,
people like to cry.
It's not my preference when tuning in to the Disney classics. Plus, "You Got a Friend in Me" does pretty much also make me want to cry. You Got a Friend in Me, and then what was the Disney one I was gonna say? I think would be off the top of my head if I'm not playing like Emperor's New Groove or any of, because like the thing is, it's such a big question. Emperor's New Groove has like some really good classics, and then you have all the bangers like in Tarzan and whatnot, but I'm not gonna pick a Phil Collins song when I can pick one of the muses from Hercules. So it would definitely be
I Can Go the Distance.
no. It's probably the Herc is the Hero one.
How does that one go?
Bless my soul, Herc was on a roll. Herc is
Okay.
my oh my, and the nicest guy. I could say, man, I love the muses in Hercules. I'd say that was the best of the soundtracks of any of the soundtracks. It's a banger.
Mine is Part of Your World, Little Mermaid.
Ugh, ew. Oh.
No one's a soft ballad guy anymore. Everybody wants to dance and have a good time.
Yeah,
What
that's
is up
me
with
for
that?
sure. I want to dance. What am I going to try to cry for? I guess Part of Your World is like not really. No, it's pretty emotional. It's a good one though. The lyrics for it are amazing. I really do love Part of Your World, and
I know gadgets and gizmos aplenty. Oozits and Watsits galore.
That's right.
Do you want thingamabobs? How many do you have? I got 20.
Damn, you know all of it. My little sister, I think I was talking about Shonda last time. Shonda's favorite was Little Mermaid and Pocahontas. She loved those two movies growing up. And my sister Ashley really loved A Bug's Life. She
Bug's Life.
She was obsessed with A Bug's Life. And
there was like a DreamWorks
A Bug's Life
copy of that, right?
I really remember.
Ants, I think
that was an unfortunate timing situation, you know. It was one of those things where like those two were both animation studios still very early on, and like they couldn't just like pump out a ton of content at once. It's like once they started a project and were kind of far along into it, they couldn't really back out. And the thing was, they both started a bug project around the same time. And eventually, once they found out the other one was working on a bug project, they were both too far in. It's not like one of them was just going to shut the whole thing down. And they just tried to compete with each other. But it wasn't a ripoff of one another, apparently. It just ended up being competition. It could have been a ripoff and one just trying to outdo the other one, but like intentionally. But I don't think it was intentional initially. I think they wouldn't have done that had they known. But yeah. It wasn't like, because it wasn't so many years later. They came out with like very close to each other. So the timing of how long it took for them to like build those movies, it takes like 4 years to build one of those movies. So they were definitely working on it at the same time. And it was just like more of a competition thing than anything.
Yeah.
Than like copying somebody. I don't know.
I'm going to say they copied.
Even if it was copying, it was like intentional competition, and they tried to like release it around the same time. And the thing was, Ants was awesome. If you go back and you watch Ants, it was freaking dope.
I haven't seen Ants though, but I know like at the time, like Pixar was this like fucking juggernaut that was like putting out banger after banger after banger movies, and just like DreamWorks was this like small unknown. I don't know if they were small, but they had this unknown company, and they finally made their mark with Shrek. And
yeah,
like
that's so unfair because Ants was so good. Pixar was definitely a juggernaut, but if you go back and you rewatch Ants, you'll see it was like what DreamWorks always has been to Pixar, where it's like slightly more adult, has slightly more adult humor and slightly more adult subject matter. Like Pixar is very like child oriented, very kid oriented content.
I was saying that about Incredibles. Incredibles is like, I could see where like some kids would lose their attention unless if they don't see superheroes. Then it's just like, oh,
that Incredibles is one of the better ones. That is also for like both like older people, adults and kids. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
No, but Ants is awesome. Ants was kind of like Ants was kind of like Starship Troopers meets A Bug's Life.
Starship Troopers?
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, like, go back and rewatch it. It's kind of like Starship Troopers and A Bug's Life.
Mhm.
Because, like, his buddy, like, okay, they go and they fight these giant bugs. You remember Starship Troopers? They go and they fight these giant bugs that are like way, way more vicious than they can like handle, and they're getting like decapitated and shit. Well, that happened in Ants. Like one of the like the
They
main
were
character.
decapitating ants?
It was like a kids, but
Damn.
it's still a kids movie. I mean, it's like you do
I
have to
haven't.
think about it,
Mhm.
even though it does sound like they're just decapitating ants. Like they were doing it in a kids movie. Like, and these are
Yeah.
ants that they gave emotions and feelings and stuff. I forget who was it was Sylvester Stallone, I think, that played like one of the main big buff ants, and he
Mhm.
took like this little scrawny guy in under his wing when the little scrawny guy accidentally ended up in the military for the ants as a combat ant when he's supposed to be a
Mhm.
worker ant because he had bigger dreams and aspirations, and he goes out into the military and is into the fight, and these big giant freaking beetles are massacring the ants, and his ant buddy, the Sylvester Stallone, gets decapitated. He's holding Sylvester Stallone's head in his hand when Sylvester
Jeez.
Stallone's ant head dies.
Great kids movie though. Fun for the whole family. Imagine if you're a parent that had to explain that to the kid.
It was fantastic. It was a fantastic
Yeah.
movie.
Come
People
to think about
underrated
it,
it for
yeah,
sure.
there were some jokes in Shrek when I first saw it that were like, oh, kids wouldn't get this. Because I think like when what was his name? Lord Farquaad. He was kind of looking at like the different princesses, and then
Hmm.
one picture was Snow White. It's like, oh, she lives with 7 men, but she's not cheap. And I was like, oh, damn! I wonder how many kids are gonna get
Yeah,
that
yeah.
joke.
No, there's plenty of jokes in those that go over people's heads, and that's what I really loved about DreamWorks. Anyways, let's move on. Um, a Minnesota man invents beer-powered motorcycle.
A
And
Minnesota native that makes these quirky inventions, and he's an inventor, which he did invent the beer-powered motorcycle. So therefore, yeah, he is an inventor.
it's pretty funny. You just like so you have to imagine he just found a way to replace like standard gasoline with beer. It's just finding a way to break down the whatever liquid it is into like an energy fuel for uh, a vehicle.
Yeah,
And
which is much easier said than done. I think fuel is more, it's combustible. I think there's certain properties of it that makes it easier. I think a lot of times it's interesting that he took beer.
yeah,
That would be my next choice. Yeah,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which is a new meaning to drinking and driving. I wasn't drinking, officer. My car was.
While we're
Have you ever seen
talking,
that Simpsons episode where
what's
I
that?
think Homer, I forgot, somebody goes to like the kids were having a science like a science fair,
Uh-huh.
and then I think one of the kids made a beer fueled car, and then
Oh.
Homer thinks to himself, beer fueled car," and he's like, it's a picture of him, it's a scene of him like fueling up his car. He's like, "One for you," and he puts it in his mouth, and he's like, "One for me, one for you, and one for me." So
I love that.
it just reminded me of of that scene from The
That's so funny.
Simpsons.
I love that. I not a huge Simpsons fan. I have a fish here that you told me is from The Simpsons that I thought was Futurama, but
Hmm.
not a huge Simpsons fan. I did like some Simpsons growing up, but it's been running for like a really long time.
Yeah,
Like
I think it's running. uh, I mean, it's been running since I was a kid, so that's how long that thing's been going
yeah, almost since I was born, or even maybe since I was born. It's like been going on. It's
on.
a
Yeah.
very long time. Uh, while we're on the subject of booze, while we're in boozy things, a brewery has to rename their beer after customers say it sounded a bit racist, quote unquote. It was called Whiteface beer.
Yeah, and they had to change it to, I forget the name. Hold on, let me just pull it up real quick. It's like cheesy. Sorry, guys. It's Well, the reason why they call it a whiteface isn't because of the racist term. It was inspired by a medieval poem called "Names of the names of the hair. Oh yeah, they had to
Okay.
change it to Cheeky Jack.
Cheeky
So
Jack.
yeah, Cheeky Jack is the new name. So it's an award-winning beer which I guess originally named Whiteface, and I guess that was racist to white
Where's this
people. I
brewery?
don't know. Huh?
Where you said to racist to white people?
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's. I mean, that's still
Yeah.
racism. I mean, if you're white,
Right.
if
Yeah,
you're
yeah, no, but it was
passing
just
judgment on depending on the color of somebody's skin, that's racism. You know, I
yeah,
think.
yeah, yeah. No,
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
still funny the way you kind of questioned it when you said it. But do you
Hmm.
know where this
North Norfolk.
Norfolk? Where's
Hmm.
Norfolk? Is that in the UK?
That I don't know. I believe it is in the UK. Because that's where the article's from.
Norfolk is in Virginia.
Norfolk,
If
Virginia, in the country of UK.
in the country of the United, yes, right, in the United Kingdom, of course. No, I think unless it is a different Norfolk, unless it's the Norfolk of the UK, but the one that when I just googled, it's showing is here in Virginia. Well,
North.
also I think it probably would actually happen here instead of the UK. I don't think in the UK they would have gotten offended by the name. I think they would have just understood the medieval reference and said, "Yeah, no, it is what it is." I think we're a little more sensitive out here and probably just didn't let it fly.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, how do you feel about it? Like,
Um, I don't feel any type of way about it. I think I very much agree with what you said. It's it. I can see how it can be perceived one way, but what they like, you can totally see what they intend, where their intention was, and that they really didn't mean any harm. Like, what? Why would they even call it whiteface in a weird, like, racist way? Like, it just doesn't even make sense. Like, if they had like a completely different reason for it, would make a lot of sense to me, and I wouldn't necessarily call it a bit racist. But I can see where people would say it is, especially because it's
mhm.
just, yeah, I mean, I think is the thing is, like, if you literally called something blackface, like if you called beer a beer blackface, like you would get probably in a lot of trouble for having that just as like the name. So I can see why there's like offense, but at the end of the day, I as a white guy don't take offense to it, and wouldn't have taken offense to it, wouldn't have had a problem with it being that.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it's just like we make so much out of these. Instead of fighting actual racism, we fight terms. And it's just like, where is the energy going? As like, I'm a minority, grew up in this country. I'm just like, a lot of things, like if someone told me like an Asian racist joke, I'd be like, okay. You develop a thick skin for it, and you just kind of know that some people are out there, but it's just like, okay, for these for these advocates are just trying to progress forward. It's just like, are you doing it the right way? Is
Right.
all I'm asking. Yeah,
Right, right. Well, and
yeah.
like that to
And
me also kind of
and to me, no, sorry to interrupt, but
go
to
ahead.
me, just fighting racist, I mean, fighting terms isn't. It can be a small step, but I think too much attention is on something like stupid like this. Like you're going to attack a beer company because they named it Whiteface, and just kind of like you. If it was a beer company that was practicing racist hiring processes, and if they were doing, if they were marketing, if they're doing marketing, putting out racist advertisements, yeah, then that's different. But like this is, to me, like people need to sometimes choose their battles wisely.
Right. You need to pick your battles. There's like right now the problem is that it's like a razor thin line that we're riding all day
Hmm.
every day when it comes to racism, gender, any of that kind of stuff. We're on a razor thin line, and literally, like, any day that line can flip. All of a sudden it can be moved this way, and the thing that you were the side that you're on is all of a sudden the wrong side. It's like a
Yeah.
razor thin line that we're riding nowadays. And I think that is another one of those ones that's just like, these guys rode that line, I think unintentionally, but they rode that line and they ended up being on the wrong side of it this time, because I almost feel like they're just in a weird middle place. Like, we're almost going to get to a time where people will eventually be like, no, that isn't, like, we need to all calm down. Like, I think eventually people will start to almost agree that it's like, to a level, we have to like draw that line firm and be like, okay, this is like not, this is okay, this is not okay. Like, what is actually right and wrong. I think right now we're drawing a really firm line in a place that's just overly sensitive for sure.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Pat's having a horrible time. I don't know if you're hearing it. Booty.
Well,
Oh, he's falling all over the place. That poor boy. That poor boy. Speaking of maybe like outdated terms, I don't know, outdated beliefs, in my opinion at least. North Carolina's Democratic governor vetoed legislation Saturday that would have banned nearly all abortions in his state.
So the veto would, because I know right now they have some strict abortion laws right now. Texas does. Or is it Oklahoma?
No, this is North Carolina. The thing that I find interesting about it is that he vetoed it.
Mhm.
I personally haven't read or heard of somebody using their power like that very often. I think maybe Obama did it once, but and maybe Trump, but like, to veto something is to really, like, as one singular entity, be like firmly like, I say no. Just put his freaking foot down. I said no. No, I don't
Yeah.
care what your vote is. What?
Mhm.
That is pretty crazy to me. But no, like, if you want to get into it a little bit, go into, I don't really know what their abortion laws are either. It says that he vetoed the legislation that would have banned nearly all abortions in his state, and that was like
Oh, okay. All
after,
right.
right?
So it's a good
So
thing. Well, in my opinion, it's a good thing.
right, exactly. In my eyes too. I am in the belief that women have, it's their body, their choice. They have a right to choose.
I'm in the same camp as you. I don't think it's my decision to make like, let's say the shoe was on the other foot and I was giving birth to that baby and I'm just like, I don't want to go through that pain. I'm going to abort this baby. I don't want anybody telling me no. If I don't want the
Right.
kid, I mean, like, I think it's worse to put a kid in a shitty environment than, I guess, I don't know. Basically what I'm trying to say is it's their body, their choice. Like,
Right.
it's their decision to make. I don't think
Right.
I don't have a say in it because I don't have to go through pregnancy, so like I don't know, like, I can't say anything. It's like, women take the floor. If you don't want to do this, you don't want to do it. If you want to do it, you want to do it. I
Right.
have no opinion. I'll
No,
just
I
follow
mean,
whatever you guys do say, I'll back it up.
right. I believe, for the most part, there is a lot of religion that is behind these beliefs on whether or not
Yeah,
a woman
yeah.
should
Mhm.
or should not. And so for me, I just don't partake in religion very heavily, so I just more so see the more human side of things, and that's where I'm on that same level as you, where it's like I see the woman, the human woman in front of me, and want her to have her choice, no matter what the gods may say, things like that. And while we're on this subject, it kind of, where we stand is completely different than where some people do stand on this. whether it be religious beliefs or other, like, that maybe don't agree so heavily that uh, a Texas woman was killed recently by her boyfriend after she traveled to, I believe, Colorado to get an abortion.
Mm,
It was literally the day after she got the abortion. So that's why the police believe that it was definitely the thing that triggered the boyfriend to do it. And that's where it's almost like these laws and stuff need to actually be put into place, because, I mean, obviously he's going to get in trouble just for killing his girlfriend, period. But these kinds of laws and things need to be in place so that people can understand what society really truly believes on the whole is right or wrong, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh, so he basically killed two people. I mean, I'm guessing he was the supposed soon-to-be father or the father of the
Right. Well,
aborted child.
he killed her after her abortion, the day after her abortion.
Okay,
So he only killed her. She killed the baby. She killed the baby.
okay,
He killed her for killing the baby.
okay.
Yeah,
So, uh, it's a tough
it's gnarly.
situation. I mean, it's I don't know what. I mean, this might be a fucked up thing to say, but I don't know what happened. That relationship where miscommunication was so off. Like he might have wanted that child, and like she might have not wanted it. So that's a tough one. That's
Well,
a
and
tough one.
that's
That's
where
one
it
thing that
comes
I have to.
down to. Sorry,
Hmm.
that's just to me where it comes down to. The woman should have the right to choose, so much so that, like, this woman probably knew her boyfriend wasn't okay with it, and since it's her body and she wanted that right to choose anyways, went and had it done, whether or
Hmm.
not he was going to approve of it, because it's her body, her choice in her eyes, no matter what. And she would even travel to another state to get to a place where they're in agreement with her and
Yeah.
get it taken care of. I don't think she believed he would kill her for it,
Hmm.
but maybe even if she did, maybe, she saw it as such the thing she didn't want to carry in her life at that moment in time, that, like, either way she needed to get
Yeah.
it. It's an intense, heavy topic, but it's kind of, it's something that does need to be talked about,
Yeah.
and legislation does need to uh have its effects put into place.
Well, yeah. I mean, even though let's say it was legal in Texas, I think he would have still been unhappy with the abortion. I think he was more. I don't know. It might be one of those things where he just. I don't know. He might have really wanted that child, and I don't know. That's a tough one. That's one thing that you would have to. I would have to be a close. I'm like I said. I'm assuming that he was the father and she was the mother, and she aborted the child. So that's the what I'm assuming. But given that assumption is, man, I don't know. That's a tough one. At the end of the day, yeah, it is her body, but he might have like looked at it as like, oh, you just killed my kid, kind of a deal.
Well, I mean, I think that's definitely how he looked at it, but
Yeah.
it really comes down, like, yes, there's a certain level of communication, but I think at the base, at the very, very base of it all, it is her choice. I think that's the point
Hmm.
of it, is that other people, no matter what, even if they were the donor uh, in the act, that
Hmm.
they don't have the final say. The final say
Yeah.
comes down to the woman, because it
Yeah.
is her body, and I think that that's where it's like, yeah,
That's.
because women would even probably get it done illegally if they had to, because it is their body and they will do what they want with their body, no matter what it takes, if that's what they truly
Hmm.
want done. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That story was a tough one. That one was a doozy of a story. I don't.
That,
The thing with abortion is, I'm just gonna leave it up to the floor for the women. You come to decision. I'll back it up. whatever verdict you guys come up with, my opinion doesn't even matter.
Right.
But that last story, that one was that's a tough one. I don't know.
It's heavy.
I guess that's yeah.
But it's also a 1 in a million kind of an instance almost. You know, nobody usually takes it to that level. So you have to keep it in perspective a lot of the times, you know, and that's why we talk about it in Weird Week, because we talk about the things that happen a little bit out of the ordinary. And this was another case where it's just like, it can get taken to an extreme, but it is very rare. Heavy topic to leave on, guys, but you know, it is always
we have a nice soundtrack to leave on though.
Right, a funky groove to get you through it. It is always a weird week with me and Daniel. We appreciate you so much. Like, subscribe, follow, send us your money because we need it. And we're gonna go ahead and keep bringing you guys as much content as we can. You guys stay funky and weird, all right? Peace.